Have you ever woken up one morning, looked in the mirror, and wondered, where did the time go? How did these years pass by so quickly? If you're watching this right now, chances are you've lived through decades of experiences, the joys, the heartaches, the triumphs, and the losses that make up a rich, full life. I'm Dr. Jessica Lee, and today I want to have a heart to heart conversation with you about something we don't often discuss, but something that deserves our attention and care. It's about recognizing the subtle signs that our bodies and minds give us when we're entering what might be our final chapter. Now, I know this isn't easy to talk about. I've sat across from thousands of patients just like you who find it difficult to face their own mortality. But I've learned something profound over my years in practice. Acknowledging these signs isn't about giving up. It's about taking control, finding peace, and making the most of every single day we have left. Before I share these 5 critical signs with you, I want you to know something important. This video isn't meant to frighten you, it's meant to empower you. Knowledge is power, and understanding what your body is telling you could be the difference between spending your remaining years in discomfort and confusion or living them with dignity, purpose, and joy. I still remember Mrs. Eleanor Thompson, a patient of mine who came in complaining about just getting old. She dismissed her symptoms as normal aging. 6 months later, she was gone, and we both wished we had paid closer attention to what her body was trying to tell her. Her story changed how I practice medicine forever, and it's why I'm sharing this message with you today. The truth is, many of us miss these warning signs. We brush them off as just part of getting older. But what if I told you that recognizing these 5 subtle signals could help you or someone you love take actionable steps that might not only extend life, but dramatically improve its quality? The first sign is one that's often misunderstood and frequently dismissed. It's something I call the withdrawal spiral. Now, this isn't simply about becoming a bit more quiet or enjoying your own company. Those can be wonderful parts of aging. The withdrawal I'm talking about is different. It's when someone who once found joy in connecting with others, be it family gatherings, church functions, community events, or simply chatting with neighbors, begins to pull away consistently and dramatically. Mary was a 78-year-old patient of mine who had always been the heart and soul of her community. She volunteered twice a week, never missed her grandchildren's events, and hosted a monthly card game with friends she'd known for over 50 years. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, she began declining invitations. She stopped volunteering, claiming she was just tired. Her daughter noticed that phone calls grew shorter, and Mary rarely initiated them anymore. When her family finally brought her in to see me, Mary admitted something that broke my heart. "I don't want them to see me like this," she whispered. "I feel like I'm fading away, and I don't want them to remember me as less than I was." What Mary was experiencing wasn't just a preference for solitude, it was her body and mind responding to changes she couldn't quite articulate. Further examination revealed early cognitive changes and untreated depression that, when addressed properly, gave Mary several more years of meaningful connection with her loved ones. The withdrawal spiral happens because our bodies are intelligent. When systems begin to decline, they conserve energy by pulling back from activities that require emotional and physical resources. But here's what most people don't realize: this withdrawal itself can accelerate decline. Human connection isn't just pleasant, it's literally life-sustaining for our species. If you've noticed yourself or someone you love pulling away from people and activities that once brought joy, please don't dismiss it. This isn't about forcing yourself to be the social butterfly you once were. It's about recognizing that significant changes in social engagement can be your body's way of sending an important message. The second sign is what I call the invisible weight. This isn't about the number on your scale, though that can be relevant too. The invisible weight is a persistent fatigue that doesn't improve with rest. It's waking up tired after a full night's sleep. It's needing to sit down after minor activities that never bothered you before. It's feeling as though gravity itself has somehow grown stronger, pulling at your limbs, your shoulders, your very essence. Robert came to my office frustrated and a bit embarrassed. At 72, he had always been robust and energetic, proudly maintaining his own large garden and taking evening walks with his wife. I just need some vitamins or something, he insisted. I can't keep up with my life anymore, and I'm sick of feeling this way. What Robert didn't know, what so many don't realize, is that this profound fatigue isn't a character flaw or simply old age. It's often your body redirecting its limited energy to critical functions as systems begin to struggle. In Robert's case, we discovered a heart condition that, once properly managed, restored much of his former vitality. If you're experiencing this invisible weight, please listen to what your body is telling you. Persistent fatigue that dramatically changes your ability to engage with your life isn't something to push through or dismiss. It's a messenger, and the message deserves your attention. The third sign is perhaps the most commonly overlooked, yet potentially the most telling. I call it the shrinking world. This happens when your physical space begins to contract, when the destinations you're willing or able to travel to become fewer and closer to home. Think about it. There was a time when you thought nothing of driving across town for dinner, taking weekend trips, or even traveling internationally. Then perhaps it became easier to stick to the restaurants within a few miles of home, then maybe just a few blocks around your neighborhood. For some, eventually it becomes just moving between the bedroom, bathroom, and living room. And this contraction of physical space often happens so gradually that we adapt without questioning it. We tell ourselves it's more convenient this way or that we simply prefer the familiar. But when I ask my patients to really reflect on how their physical world has changed, many are shocked to realize how small their orbit has become. Gloria was 83 when her daughter brought her in, concerned that her mother hadn't left her apartment building in nearly 3 months. I have everything I need right here, Gloria insisted. Why go through the trouble of going out? Upon gentle questioning, Gloria revealed that she'd experienced several small episodes of dizziness that frightened her. Rather than address them, she had unconsciously adapted by shrinking her world to spaces where she felt safe. After we addressed her blood pressure issues and inner ear inflammation, Gloria gradually expanded her territory again, even resuming her beloved weekly visits to the botanical garden across town. If you've noticed your world getting smaller, ask yourself why. Is it truly preference or is it adaptation to limitations you haven't addressed? This shrinking world isn't inevitable, and recognizing it can be the first step toward reclaiming the broader life you once enjoyed. The fourth sign is what I describe as the lost narrative. Throughout our lives, we tell ourselves stories about who we are, what matters to us, and what comes next. These narratives give our days meaning and direction. But there comes a point for many in their later years when this personal story begins to fray. The future chapters become fuzzy or blank, and the question, what's next for me, becomes difficult to answer. James was a 77-year-old former business executive who came to me not for any physical ailment, but because he felt what he described as a peculiar emptiness. After a lifetime of setting and achieving goals, he found himself without a compelling story about his future. I wake up and I don't know what I'm waking up for anymore, he confessed. This loss of narrative isn't just an existential crisis, though it certainly has spiritual dimensions. It's also deeply connected to our physical well-being. Research has consistently shown that having purpose, a story we're still living into, is associated with greater longevity and better health outcomes. For James, we worked together to find new chapters he could write, in his case, mentoring young entrepreneurs and documenting his family's history for future generations. The change in his vitality was remarkable, demonstrating how intertwined our life stories are with our physical health. If you've found yourself losing the thread of your life's narrative, struggling to see meaningful chapters ahead, this isn't something to ignore. It's not selfishness or vanity to need purpose at any age. It's fundamentally human, and addressing this loss of narrative can be as important as any medical intervention. The fifth and final sign is perhaps the most subtle, yet in many ways the most profound. I call it the reconciliation impulse. This is when individuals begin, often unconsciously, to put their affairs in order, not just practically, but emotionally and spiritually as well. You might notice yourself feeling a strong need to resolve old conflicts, express previously unspoken feelings, revisit meaningful places, or ensure that certain belongings find their rightful homes with particular loved ones. You might feel drawn to share stories or wisdom you haven't articulated before to make sure certain truths don't go unspoken. Sarah, a vibrant 85-year-old, made an appointment not for any specific complaint, but because, as she put it, I just feel like I need to get some things squared away. Over the next few months, she reconciled with an estranged sister, wrote letters to each of her grandchildren, sharing unique memories and advice for each, and meticulously organized her home. When she passed peacefully in her sleep 6 months later, her family was stunned. She had seemed so well, but Sarah had been listening to a deeper wisdom within herself. Her body had given her signals that her conscious mind perhaps didn't fully register, and she had responded with grace and purpose. The reconciliation impulse isn't morbid or defeatist, it's a profound opportunity to complete your life's most important emotional work. If you've been feeling this urge to reconcile, organize, and express what matters most, honor it. It doesn't mean the end is imminent, but it does mean that some part of you recognizes the finite nature of our time here. Now, having shared these 5 signs with you, the withdrawal spiral, the invisible weight, the shrinking world, the lost narrative, and the reconciliation impulse, I want to be very clear about something important. Recognizing these signs in yourself or a loved one doesn't mean giving up. Quite the opposite. These signals from our bodies and minds are invitations to make changes, seek help, and approach our remaining time with intention rather than resignation. For each of these signs, there are practical steps you can take that might not only extend your life, but dramatically improve its quality. If you've recognized the withdrawal spiral in yourself, the single most important thing you can do is to speak about it with someone you trust, preferably a healthcare provider. Social withdrawal can be a symptom of depression, medication side effects, hearing loss, cognitive changes, or numerous other conditions that can be addressed effectively. Even small steps toward reconnection can make a profound difference. Research has shown that regular social interaction can be as beneficial to our health as quitting smoking. Start small, perhaps a regular phone call with a friend, joining a senior center activity that interests you, or even finding an online community centered around a hobby you enjoy. For the invisible weight of fatigue, please don't accept this as simply being old. Unusual fatigue can signal countless conditions from anemia and thyroid disorders to heart issues and medication interactions, all of which can be addressed. A thorough physical examination, including blood work, can reveal causes that, when treated, might restore energy you thought was permanently lost. Beyond medical intervention, gentle daily movement appropriate for your ability level can actually create energy rather than depleting it. Even 5 minutes of movement several times a day can improve circulation, boost mood, and increase overall energy. The key is consistency rather than intensity. Yeah. If you've noticed your world shrinking, consider both practical and medical approaches. From a practical standpoint, look into transportation options in your community specifically designed for seniors. Many areas have low cost or free services that can help you maintain your independence and connection to the broader world. Medically, issues like dizziness, vision changes, and mobility concerns can often be improved with proper treatment. Balance training programs, properly fitted walking aids, vision interventions, and physical therapy can all expand the physical territory you're able to navigate comfortably and safely. For the loss narrative, that feeling that your life story is winding down without meaningful chapters ahead, consider working with a counselor who specializes in later life transitions. They can help you identify values, interests, and contributions that bring meaning, specifically in this stage of life. Volunteering, even in small ways, has been shown to create significant purpose and improve health outcomes for seniors. Teaching a skill you've mastered to others, sharing your life experiences through writing or recording oral histories, or helping in community organizations all create meaning that extends beyond yourself. And if you felt the reconciliation impulse, that desire to put affairs in order and resolve what remains unresolved, honor this wisdom. Consider speaking with an elder law attorney about advance directives and ensuring your wishes are documented. But beyond these practical matters, give yourself permission to address the emotional and spiritual dimensions of completion. Is there someone you need to forgive, including perhaps yourself? Are there words of love, gratitude, or truth that need to be spoken? These conversations aren't always easy, but they can bring a peace that transcends our circumstance. I want to share something that my oldest patient, Eliza, told me shortly before her 100th birthday. When I asked her secret to longevity, she smiled and said, "I never assumed I knew how much time I had left. At 70, I planted trees. At 80, I learned Italian. At 90, I started volunteering with children. Some of those trees are now taller than houses. I've read poetry in Italian, and those children still write to me. If I had decided I was at the end, I would have missed all of that." Eliza's wisdom reminds us that while it's important to recognize and respect what our bodies and minds are telling us, these signs don't have to be the end of our story. They can be the beginning of a new chapter. Perhaps a chapter with limitations, yes, but also with new depths of meaning, connection, and even joy. Before I close, I want to emphasize something crucial. If you've recognized any of these 5 signs in yourself or someone you love, please speak with a healthcare provider. This video isn't a substitute for personalized medical advice, and many of the changes I've described can be significantly improved with proper care. I also want to acknowledge that for some watching, these signs resonate because you're caring for an aging parent or loved one. Recognizing these changes in someone you love can be painful and confusing. Please know that your attention to these subtle shifts might be the greatest gift you can give them, the gift of addressing what can be improved and compassionately accompanying them through what cannot. If this video has helped you recognize something important about your health or the health of someone you love, please consider sharing it with others who might benefit. And if you have experiences or insights related to these signs, I invite you to share them in the comments below. Our collective wisdom is so much greater than what any one of us knows alone. Remember, acknowledging these signs isn't about surrendering to decline. It's about facing reality with courage so that you can make the most of every day you have, whether that's many more years or a shorter time than you'd hoped. Each day holds possibilities for meaning, connection, and even joy, especially when we approach it with awareness and intention. Thank you for allowing me to have this important conversation with you today. I'm Dr. Jessica Lee, and I truly believe that our later years can be among our most meaningful when we listen to what our bodies and minds are telling us with wisdom and compassion. If you found value in this discussion, please consider subscribing to our channel where we explore health, wellness, and meaningful living for our golden years. And remember, no matter what chapter you're in, your story matters. Every page, every word of it.